All right, let's move on to Blazers Lakers. This total opened up at 227, now 228.5. Lakers open up at -6. They're now at -6.5. So I've got to figure out exactly what LeBron is trying to do with what he's been saying in the press about the intricate problems in the locker room. But I see this as a team that is going to come out very, very focused. And I like them first quarter, first half. And I don't really like them full game. I like them early, but when you're watching these teams play, you're like, man, CJ and Dame can go off at any point. Nurkic and Whiteside on the floor together really stop some of the looks that the Lakers try to give you. So the pace in the bubble, similar. Blazers, Lakers at 101.89, 101.37 respectively. And in this series, it was slightly faster. But the fact that the Blazers have been in playoff mode for so long makes them a very tough out. Lillard goes for 34 in game one. He went for 37.4 during the 8 games in the bubble or to get into the playoffs. McCollum goes for 21. Nurkic goes for 16. They held the Lakers to 35.1% shooting from the field, 15.6% shooting from three. And AD, 28 and 11, you know that he wants more opportunities to score. And I did look at his player prop. LeBron, 23, 17, and 16. The rest of the team goes 17 for 53 from the field for 32.1%. Dennis Garcia says not trusting the Lakers shooters. I understand that. I'm going to trust the Lakers defensive intensity. And if the Lakers get up, we're going to quickly see Nurkic and Whiteside strolling the floor and slowing down the pace. That's making me think maybe we make a move on some totals early going under. Let's hear what Bobano has to say in the very, very exciting late game matchup, Blazers-Lakers.
Oh, it is. This is exciting. This is intriguing. This is fascinating. This is all the words. And this is all the words to sum up a game that has got great drama and great wonderment around it as to what exactly is going to happen here tonight. Now, I cashed with Portland in game one, and I resigned myself weeks ago to say, you know what? I'm taking Portland in game one of the series against the Lakers if they get into the playoffs as the 8th seed, because it's going to set up perfectly for them. They're in playoff mode. They have been for a month or so, and the Lakers are just trying to get everybody back on the court in rhythm after resting guys, after clinching the Western Conference 1 seed weeks ago, and it played out to perfection. Portland was just locked in better start to finish than the Lakers were. Now, I'm personally taking that Portland plus 6.5 from game one and putting it in my pocket. I'm not going back to Portland tonight, but I'm not in the rush to lay 6.5 with the Lakers here either. This is like Dallas with this Portland team. This is a offensive basketball team that's got everything rolling right now. Dame on fire, CJ McCollum hitting big shots, Carmelo Anthony rediscovering the fountain of youth and figuring out he can still play, and giving them some big time production. Even without Zach Collins in the front court in game one. I've never seen Yusuf Nurkic. Yusuf Nurkic has always been a great offensive big man. I don't know if I've seen the toughness. I don't know if I've seen that edge to him in the past like I'm seeing now. He's getting in people's grill. He's getting in people's faces like, get off of me. This is my pain area. I'm going to dominate down here, not you. And basically that's what he did in game one. I thought it was impressive. He turned Anthony Davis into a ghost in the second half. Anthony Davis, you couldn't find him with a telescope on the basketball court in the second half. How on earth could you go from that first half he had, dominating points, rebounds, everything, and then just a complete no-show, a complete flop in the second half for Anthony Davis? That has to change for the LA Lakers. You can't have that Casper the Ghost disappearing act again tonight, not in this playoff. You're in the playoffs now, man. You got to play 48 minutes of basketball. That was absolutely disgraceful, in my opinion, from AD. He's got to be better for the duration of this basketball game for the Lakers. But their offense looks in shambles. And this is a defense in the Blazers that has made any offense look good at times here in the bubble. That's their Achilles heel, the Blazers. They've not been able to get timely stops on the defensive end of the basketball court. Yet somehow they made the Laker offense look out of sync. I think Frank Vogel's got to change these rotations. I've got to somehow get the fact that the Lakers, Jimmy, going into this game, this tells you how things are all of a sudden very troubling and worrisome for them. The fact we're talking about J.R. Smith rejoining the starting rotation as maybe being the saving grace in this series. That's a problem. We got issues when we're talking about J.R. Smith coming into the starting five as the guy that's going to get this thing turned around for the LA Lakers. Guy that's a malcontent at times, a guy that hasn't even been on the team for the full season. But that's where we are. You know, the Lakers have not looked sharp, in sync offensively at that end of the floor at any point since Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo have been out. And that's obviously been through the entire Orlando restart. They haven't played, and they've looked disjointed. There's no true ball handler. You know, it's the turnovers, bad shots from Danny Green. I hate to rip the guy, but I saw that a lot in Toronto. You know, the last playoff year he had bad shots, missed wide open threes. You know, so what are you going to do? You're going to stick with him and hope he turns it around, or you got to find another guy to get it done in his place. We'll have to wait and see. Dion Waiters, a lot of Laker fans, including our boy, I know, Ski Prophet, calling for Dion Waiters to be in the starting five. But this is a fascinating game. I'll tell you what, I'm not betting against Portland. Not in this price range. +6. I know zigzag theory and the Lakers with the championship pedigree and the aspirations they have, they're going to want to fire back strong and play a lot better. But I know one team can score. That's Portland. I know another team right now is struggling mightily to score. That's the Lakers. And the team that's struggling mightily to score, you got to lay 6.5 with that team. Sorry, not me. If you like the Lakers, Jimmy, I like your approach. First quarter, first half. I'd be much more inclined to look those two directions with the Lakers than the full game.
I agree. I agree. Claudio S. says, Jimmy, does James get 31 points? I would say no. I think the James triple doubles at +150 and higher. I mean, +150 is not a good number for a triple double, but still, I would go in that direction with LeBron. What do you think, Claudio S., our man? We got to lead Claudio S. right, because I talked him off the Braden Point goal prop in that first game of the Jacket series. He scored 5 minutes in. What do you think? LeBron gets 31 points for Claudio S.?
This is one of those games you would think. I was angry at Anthony Davis too, because I had him over 40.5, I believe, points and rebounds, and he ends up with 39 or 38 because of a no-show in the second half when he should have hurdled well over that number. So I was frustrated for that reason too. But yeah, I don't mind the LeBron over. I like LeBron over rebounds more than anything. This guy's been a rebounding machine lately, LeBron James. Like, I had the over rebounds of LeBron in game 1, and he crushed that number, went way over the total. I don't mind the points either. But this guy has been crashing the glass, you know, trying to get on the boards, get those rebounds, get those loose balls. From a LeBron props perspective, I wouldn't talk you out of the over points, but I've been riding his over rebounds prop. That's been really good for him lately.
Yeah, I think I'd go in that direction. The rebounds and assists. I wonder what that is very quickly. Let's see what his rebounds and assists. Although it did blow up in my face last game. Let's see. 20.5. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother there. Okay, so if the Lakers, there's two things that can happen in it. There's obviously a myriad of things that can happen, but one thing that's going to keep me off, I think, of the first half under, which I almost pulled the trigger on, is that if the Lakers start rolling and AD starts rolling early, they're going to, which is what I hope, what correlates with that is the Blazers immediately bringing out Whiteside and Nurkic to slow down AD, and that in turn slows the pace down, which would make me think this first half under. By the way, this first half under is being hammered from 111.5 all the way up to 116.5. What do you think of that idea? Lakers come out hot. That's my bet. And if the Lakers come out hot, Whiteside has to get on the floor with Nurkic, which will slow the pace down. What do you think of that?
That makes some sense. That makes some sense. I kind of lean over for the full game, though, in this one. I know the game 1 cruised under the total. I do believe the Lakers, this has the sense of a game where they might finally get some things going offensively, and I don't think they're completely shutting down Portland by any stretch of the imagination. And the total was way up there in game 1 in the 230s. And again, these totals in the 230s have been consistently, for the most part, there's been a few that have gone over, but for the most part, totals in the 230s here in Orlando have gone under the total. But now this one's down in the high 220s, 227, 228 now with this total. So I'm more interested in the over for the full game in this game than I was in game 1 for sure. And that's probably the way I'm going to go with that. But your theory makes sense. I just think this is a night where the Lakers, I think they'll make some tweaks in the rotation. I think they'll keep that guarded. I don't think they're going to let Terry Stotts and Portland know what they're doing, but I do think there's going to be a little change in the rotation here tonight. And their offense will make some. Remember, this is still not an elite defense here for the Portland Trailblazers. And I think finally tonight the Lakers, they have nowhere to go but up offensively after game one, clearly. And I think that will happen. I know it stayed way under game one. And now we're still dealing with a 228 here. But because of the fact this total's dropped a bit from the game one total, I do think there's a little bit more value over because I think the Lakers will shoot better. And I don't think they're completely shutting down Portland. You just can't completely shut them down with the way they've consistently been able to fill it up for the better part of the last month.
Do you think that the market hasn't corrected itself because they're not prepared to move everything so quickly with Nurkic and Whiteside on the floor at the same time for extended amounts of time, slowing down AD, that this total, do you think it's possible that this total keeps dropping all series long because the Blazers understand shut down AD, win the basketball game?
Yeah, there's definitely, anytime you put more size, in the low post, as opposed to the reverse where you go small, go small, speeds up the pace. Go big, slows down the pace. There's no question about that. That's just an NBA totals handicapping 101 for sure. I think the important thing here is going to be whether or not the Lakers can get their offense rolling here. And as far as I'm concerned, I do like the over tonight. But if we have another game, Jimmy, tonight, and as you mentioned, we did see a much slower pace in game one. If we see it tonight with more bigs on the floor for Portland throughout the course of the game, and we see another game in the 190s or 200s, then I'm going to believe in this series being a true, you know what, the total's been mispriced in this series from the very beginning, and it's got a chance maybe to consistently be an under series because guess what? If this game is like a 200, 210, and it stays way under again, there'll be another adjustment, but it's not like they're going to go from 228 all the way down to 216 or something. No, you may get another 1 point, 2 point downward adjustment. So maybe in game three, if this stays under tonight, game three will be 227.5 or 226.5. You're still not going to see a crazy, rapid, massive adjustment based on what happens tonight from a total standpoint in game three, but definitely something to keep in mind. I think if we have another really low scoring game, it's going to be an indicator that pace wise, the odds makers might be a little bit off with this series-wide total.
And again, it isn't really the pace as much because they still got 102.5 possessions combined. It's more, or each, but it's more the shooting percentage. I guess 35.1% from the field, 15.6% from three. If that improves, it could still go under. But that is the issue because if you look at the pace from, the Thunder Rockets, there was 5 less possessions for each team in that game. And that game soared over because of the threes that the Rockets were shooting, 52 shots from three.
You bomb threes and you hit a really high percentage from threes, it can make up for any slower pace that might be going on when it comes to a total going over. No doubt about that.
So I'm going to take the first half under, but I'm almost thinking that if AD pops off right off, if he gets 4 buckets in the first 4 minutes, if he's got 8 points in 4 minutes, that we immediately see Whiteside slow it down.
He popped off in the first half in game one. I just didn't see the guy at all on the court in the second half. That was the issue with AD.
Yeah.
I can't explain that. I can't possibly wrap my head around how the guy could be so good and dominant, just eating up the rebounds, putting in all kinds of he's shooting outside a little bit pretty good as well, but especially cleaning up inside layups, putbacks, and just being a force down low on the glass, in the paint, and then just completely not even look like you're engaged and involved in the game in the second half. It's amazing how it can go like that, one half to the next.
This first half total opened up at Bet365 at 111.5. 111.5, and within 20 minutes it was up to 116. I think that there's a bias here. I'm so close to pulling the trigger on the first half under. I'm so close to to pulling the trigger on the first half under, and I will. I'm going to take the first half under. So I have 3 bets on this game, dangerous, all in the first quarter and first half. But if the Lakers get AD rolling, the Blazers, Stotts decides, let's bring in Whiteside and Nurkic to slow it down. All these correlated. And then in the third quarter, the Blazers get into the locker room. They're like, let's speed up the pace as fast as possible and get as many shots up and change the vibe. You know that. So, okay. So I'm going to get under 116.5 right now. Shit, it's 116.5. I think that, yeah, 116.5. And it's at minus 105. That's live. First half under 116.5. All right, beautiful.